Let's start. The primary contribution of the national movement was its tangible political practice, the concepts of parliamentary democracy, republicanism, civil freedoms, social and economic fairness, which were among the fundamental ideas of the Constitution, were popularized as a result of this. To preserve peace and justice, each nation has certain sets of rules for its people to obey. These rules describe that country, and together they form that nation's constitution. The right to equality, the right to citizenship, the right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, the right against exploitation, and the right to constitutional redress are the basic rights of Indian people. I am here to deliver a speech on the Constitution of India. Like any game with some rules of its own, each state has a constitution of its own. The constitution lays down a set of rules to which the ordinary laws of the country must conform. It also includes a list of fundamental rights and directive principles. The process of the evolution of the Constitution began many decades before 26 January 1950 and has continued unabated since. Its roots may be traced back to the princely states' struggle for independence from Britain and efforts for responsible and constitutional administration. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar introduced the draft constitution. The constitution has also tried to minimize conflict between the union and the states by clearly specifying the legislative powers of each. It contains 3 lists of subjects. The framers of the Indian Constitution had borrowed freely and unabashedly from other constitutions, the wisdom of the US Constitution and its Supreme Court, the innovations of the Irish Constitution, the British Parliament's time-tested norms, the administrative minutiae of the Government of India Act 1935, and much more, including the substance of their own people's battle for independence, all went into the design and content of the Indian Constitution. The institution created by it for fashioning a democratic structure have survived and evolved to meet the changing needs, features of Indian Constitution. Adult suffrage. Congress had demanded adult suffrage since the 1920s. The overwhelming consensus was in favor of direct elections by adult suffrage. The beauty of adult suffrage is that it forces the most elitist of candidates to seek the favor of the vote of the humblest voter. The preamble contains the Constitution's fundamental idea and driving spirit. According to the preamble, the people of India made a solemn resolution in the Constituent Assembly to secure to all citizens social, economic and political justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity of the nation. In the Indian Constitution, the first kind is included under fundamental rights and the second under directive principles within bracket 54,55. A secular state, India is a sovereign, socialist, secular and democratic republic. According to the Constitution, India's Constitution became effective on January 26, 1950, although it was adopted on November 26, 1949 by the Constituent Assembly. A drafting committee led by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar wrote, "It is the longest written constitution that describes the strength processes practices and responsibilities of India's government institutions and provides a comprehensive account of the people of our country's fundamental rights and responsibilities. It was originally handwritten, calligraphed, and also the longest constitution in the world. India's constitution is the supreme law drawn up by the Constituent Assembly of India, superior also to the Parliament since it does not circumvent it. India's status from Dominion of India was changed to the Republic of India with the Constitution coming into effect. The basic right and duties of people, the directive principles of state policy, and the federal framework of the government of India are included in the Constitution of India. In the Indian Constitution, every policy, right, and obligation have been clarified at length, making it the world's longest written constitution. To get it approved, more than 2,000 amendments had to be made to the Constitution of India. January 26, 1950 was the day when the Republic of India began to be recognized as our land. Since then, January 26 has been celebrated as Republic Day at different locations around the world. The Indian national flag is hoisted and the national anthem is sung to rejoice in the day. In 2015, National Constitution Day, a special day particularly dedicated to the Indian Constitution, came into being. Short speech of Constitution today. I am here to deliver a speech on the Constitution of India. The Constitution has provided a framework for the protection of the fundamental rights of freedom, speech and expression, including the freedom of the press, freedom of association, including the ability to join political parties of one's choosing and create labor unions, among other things. Citizens' rights have been protected by courts. A constitution can only be as good as the people who work it, as Rajendra Prasad noted at the time of its drafting. The constitution may well be a much needed anchor of support in the turbulent times that may await us in the new millennium. The decision to have written rights, a list of rights, a declaration of rights in the Constitution marked a sharp break with British constitutional tradition and practice because of their colonial experience. When read collectively, the preamble, fundamental rights and directive principles make it obvious that the Constitution aspired to create the circumstances for the development of an equal society with safe individual liberties. Stop. Thank you. Jai Hind. Jai Mera Bharat.